The Ultimate Street Bike Finals, we were back at Long Marston Raceway, this time as part of a full motorcycle drag race meeting. Saturday gave a chance for Ultimate Street Bike runners to qualify for one of the top 16 places in the final. Separate finals were to take place for two-stroke and four-stroke twin categories. In an effort to beat the threatening bad weather, Saturday's qualifying started briskly with a pro stock category. Some rapid passes over the 8th mile from John Goodman on his Harris Kawasaki. Also in the fires was John Moulton on the TNT IPEC sponsored Angry Bumblebee Kawasaki. With the name White Lightning, we see where Len Padgett gets his nickname from. With the super quick launches, the all-white machine streaks away from the line. Third place qualifier Col Rule, now running under the multi-part team banner, alongside funny bike rider Chris Hampson. Cole himself used to be a top rider in the Ultimate Street Bike series. The country's top drag race builder, John Cliff, was second place qualifier, with this pass registering 5.5. But just pipping John for number 1 slot was Jack Valentine from V&M Racing in Rochdale. The crowd were already talking of the possible Clift-Valentine showdown the next day. An equally close battle was taking place in the Super Street class. Many of the entrants for this class were also running quarter miles in the Ultimate Street Bike event. John Bent was going faster than ever, with a 9-second pass in the first round. Top fuelers these days are a rare, beautiful sight, but are now being challenged for class supremacy by the long, low, funny bikes who are every bit as quick, but not quite as noisy. Rod Pallant on the LA Hooker was outpaced on this occasion by an on-form Phil Brackvogel on his Dymo-sponsored fueler, who ran the first ever 4-second time for the 8th mile. But then out came Graham Nash on his state-of-the-art funny bike, bristling with features only normally seen on the other side of the Atlantic. This run was to set a new track record of 4.88 seconds. On the other NCK-sponsored funny bike, Paul Willis was having problems, coasting through the 8th mile. Let's hope a solution can be found to his problems to bring him back into competition the next day. Now to the Ultimate Street Bike itself, where qualifying was just as close. Ron Russell, running 6s in Super Street, was now running 9s in Ultimate Street. Brian Emery, after an early gearbox problem, came out and blitzed the opposition with a 9.4 second pass at almost 155 miles per hour. We said this machine had potential. John Boy was also in the 9s before a valve problem on his normally super reliable 1100E gave him an overnight trip to NCK Racing Coventry. Many riders were running low 10s in an effort to qualify for the finals the next day, among them Graham Bolchin. Ian Thomas on his Katana should have had a new swinging arm for the final, but had to make do with the old one. David Miller on his GSXR 1100 was up with the pace and looked like qualifying for the final. In the 4-stroke twins, Graham Wolfe on his Ducati and Jim Clayton on a Ducati 750 SS were running fastest in this class after Oggi broke a crank on the Triumph. In the 2-stroke open class, Bill Calcutt ran his first ever 10-second pass. We caught up with him in the pits and asked him his views on the Ultimate Street Bike and its costs to compete.
Well, I know that Ultimate Street Bike is associated with high spend, and you buy your performance, especially in the 4-stroke classes, but that isn't necessarily so in the 2-stroke class. Basically, what you need is the knowledge to tune the bike more than the money to buy the expensive pieces, as happens in the 4-stroke class.
Sunday came with the weather no better, and time short for those who hadn't already qualified. Andy Seagust on his nitrous-injected GSXR 1100 was running strongly, as was Richard Prosser, also aided by nitrous, running low 10s, even with a slow launch from the line. Two-stroke open class went something like this. Bill Calcutt losing to Wayne Schreier in the semis. The other semi saw Dave Alloway on his RG 500 Gamma with a bye run to the final. Waiting for him was Wayne Schreier, but Dave Alloway held on to his good start and won with an 11.30 at 119 miles per hour. Two-stroke twins, it was Harry Barlow, the fancied winner, against Lum Goodall on his Yamaha. But Lum Goodall took the win with a 12.19 at 110 miles per hour. Now for that clash of the giants in pro stock. The predicted Valentine versus Clift final was now a reality. Off the line, Clift was straight as a die. Jack Valentine trailed after getting out of shape. The other epic final on which the Funny Bike Championship rested was between Graham Nash and Chris Hampson, who had led the championship from early in the year. Graham needed the win to pinch the title at the post, and that's precisely what he did. Back to Ultimate Street Bike final action. Bill Hunter, who went out in the quarterfinals with a controversial staging decision, was out to prove a point. His run, smooth, quick, in fact the quickest Ultimate Street Bike time ever, 9.37 at 154 miles per hour. Through to the semis were Chris Easter, after eliminating Brian Emery in his quarterfinal round. Steve Burns was also through with a win over Tony Arnold in his quarterfinal. The other two semi-finalists winning their way through were Ron Russell and John Boy Messenger. The outcome, Steve's super start with a front wheel aloft and rear tyre spinning, saw him to victory with a 9.52. The next semi-final saw John Boy and Ron Russell, both hard chargers, both getting away from the line together, but John's extra power seeing him to the line first in 9.54 at 146 miles per hour. The final of Ultimate Street Bike. Steve Burns against last year's winner, John Boy Messenger. Drama on the line as John Boy loses fire, allowing Steve to power away to a solo 9.60 at 150 miles per hour. Here with his comments on the complete season is the editor of Superbike magazine, Tony Middlehurst.
Oh, in true Ultimate Street Bike style, the best racing of the year came in the final, with two men dipping below the magic 9.5 second mark. In fact, Bill Hunter's time of 9.37 proved to be the best performance ever on a street tyre, and fittingly enough the tyres were supplied by one of the event's sponsors, Metzler, so that's brilliant, and well done to Bill. There'll be a few rule changes for next year, but the essence of the competition will remain unchanged, and there'll be no let-up in the chase to become Britain's ultimate street bike of 1989.